Hello everyone, welcome back to Maritime Software Hub, the People Podcast. Today I'm really excited to be joined by the CEO and founder of Nautilus Log, which is Otto Klemke. Today we're going to go through their solution and we're going to talk about building smart logbooks for sustainable maritime operations. So Otto, welcome to the podcast and thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Callum. Thank you for having me here.
No, my pleasure. Well, I've obviously given a very brief introduction there, but perhaps if you can tell us a bit about yourself and obviously a bit about your background.
Of course, before I started Nautilus Log, I studied computer science and worked as a business consultant in the area of insurance companies and in the finance sector. But I really like to work more on innovative products. So that's why I started my first company. And what I remember, that we developed an app that can thread tinnitus while listening to music. And this was groundbreaking because it was the first digital therapy paid by major insurance companies. But at one point, this was not enough for me. I really like to develop an own innovative product. And that's the reason why I launched Nautilus Log.
Okay, awesome, good. So a very interesting background. So did you have any kind of ties to shipping before you launched the company, or how did you kind of first hear about the kind of commercial maritime space?
Yeah, so I used to travel a lot in my life to explore other countries and also cultures. That was really my interest. And once I also met friends that worked in the maritime industry. And we just took some helmets and knocked at the gangway of vessels in the ports. It was really easy to just go into it. And at that moment, in this exchange with the crews and captains, we found out that the maritime industry was not digital at all. And that was the moment where we said it would be interesting to do something here. But we didn't like to just develop a digital product for the industry. Instead, we really wanted to find out why the industry was not digital at all. So I started a fruitful exchange with ship managers, ports, classification societies, but also surveying companies, P&I clubs, and this even ended up in discussions with authorities and our ministry. And the earliest inspiration for me was to lower emissions with the usage of a smartphone app that can be used just with one download on board of vessels. This was really the starting point.
Wow. So there's a lot of initial kind of research behind launching the business, which makes a lot of sense. But it seems it's like you kind of fell into sort of the shipping industry, let's say, through an opportunity, and then just went for it and went for all different types of contacts to reach out to. So it's really exciting to see. And how long has the business been going now for?
7 years. So we started 2016,
7 years, fantastic.
17, yeah.
Brilliant, good. Awesome. Okay, cool. And can you, I mean, I know you touched upon it a little bit there, but can you just perhaps give a bit of an overview of the solution and the main kind of sort of ways that you help the maritime industry and seafarers themselves?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, our emission app was too early in the market. At that stage, ESG was not even a buzzword or a word in the market, not a topic. And to be honest, the market also did not like to be transparent. It was if it's about emissions and you're transparent, it's also hitting your business. However, we proved to shipping companies on board of the vessel with crews that our solution was working accurate and without any problems, because the market was really interested in new solutions and in digital ideas. But we needed to pivot a little bit here. So we pivoted our idea after we got feedback from the crew directly and also from the shipping companies to deliver them a smart logbook. So allowing the market to utilize the data with other services and stakeholders. Because we saw a lot of double reportings and Excel list where the crew needed to just write down the data on paper and then in Excel and then by email to stakeholder A, B, C. And this was just a lot of effort and did not lead to anything good. So we found out that the data on paper was dead. And we also saw that the industry or the data of the vessel itself was in the industry, in the interest of so many different stakeholders for their procedures and activities. So the industry asked us at that moment to have an answer for this problem. And they supported us in the development. So we developed this one together, from the idea to the product. And 7 years later, we are here with a new ISO standard that creates a collaborative ecosystem where every stakeholder has the freedom to decide to who they want to collaborate or to who they want to share which data and expertise. And with a smart dashboard from our side, we visualize risks to managers and we help them to coordinate crews and partners to mitigate them. And our smart logbook app helps to track data, but it also helps the users on site to execute guided procedures. And with our smart cloud, we combine data with expertise in a safe and protected manner.
Interesting. So, I mean, I've heard of a couple of other digital logbooks at the moment sort of on the market and are coming onto the market. And obviously, there's the smart logbook. Can you just kind of give a differentiator or what sort of sets apart from your platform, perhaps, than other ones that are currently out there, if that's okay?
Yeah, I remember quite good. I mean, after we got the feedback from the crew and shipping companies that they're really interested in a digital approach of the logbooks, we asked the ship managers if they like to use it, and they said yes, but it's not. We cannot. Yeah, it's by regulation we are not allowed. We need to do it in paper. So we were frustrated and said, okay, then let's change this one. So we got in touch with our flag state and with authorities, and we just asked them what do we need to do, and if they also have the interest to replace the logbooks, the paper ones. And they said yes, but Otto, nobody has asked us so far. So we said, okay, we have the demand here. We spoke to shipping companies and we spoke to you, and everybody's interested in it. So they said that's a really nice idea. And Otto, there are approaches of electronic record books, but they also said those things are outdated before the standard is even developed. And they invited us to share our knowledge, in a successor standard, so to say, or in an addendum, so to say, to electronic record books. And that's where the idea of smart logbooks, was born. And in our work in this 7 years, even the smart logbook and the standardization work grew. And now it's not only a smart logbook by the standard, it's a smart application. So everybody can develop also applications or services in this area and make them compatible to the smart logbook. And this allows every stakeholder to do more with the data. Just it's not only collecting the data to have them in a heap. It's to have them in a report or in a different service where it can be used to calculate something or to provide a recommendation to lower the emissions or to do a process better than before. But our logbook can also do a little bit more. I mean, with our app, we can track individual vessels, and the only thing you need is one download, and then you can start. You do not need to certify the vessel again, or you need to install new equipment on board of the vessel. You can just start. And when we see something that is not correct, then we give some recommendations in that moment on site, even if the solution is offline, to avoid any fines or legal trouble. And under the line, this does not only help to get the documents or the documentation ready. With this approach, we try to deliver a better report, since our recommendations are aiming to coordinate to-dos with involved stakeholders, for example, to lower emissions or to always have the right certificate in hand or to avoid having asbestos hitting our environment or just to save fuel and costs. Or simply said, to avoid the effort of ship managers in coordinating activities between crew and partners around the vessel. Because we found out that this is a major cost and time factor, especially when you don't have the insights about what's going on board of the vessel or in the next port.
And what challenges have you kind of faced over the last 7 years or so? Have you had any kind of pushback from either on the owner's side or from crew themselves in adopting the usage of the technology?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, as we went on board in the first moment, the crew was, yeah, let's say not so friendly, violent language. They already said to us, look, we have so many reporting tools here from the charterer, from the manager. We also need to fill out this form from the port. But after a couple of hours, they really enjoyed our approach because it was not just the one-to-one digitalization from paper to a website or to an Excel list. Our solution tracked the data automatically and created to-dos and put the to-dos in their duties. So a lot of the data was collected automatically or derived from the data that we collected. And they always knew what to do without any mistakes or chance of a mistake. And that was really helpful for them. And if we speak about the shore side, yes, we also had challenges. Yeah, a lot of the shipping companies had fears to put their sensitive data into platforms because they learned from other platforms that if they put data into it and the platform knew the shipping company had a really good year, then next year the service was more expensive. And those were all the stories they told us with the question, why are you not digital? Yeah, but we also saw that digital or new procedures could overwhelm some users. Yeah, so we needed to also have a change management or mindset in the industry. And also stakeholders needed time to prepare themselves for digital ecosystems. And from a regulative perspective, we knew, and that's maybe the biggest challenge, that our smart logbook needed a stamp to be accepted, so to be legally usable. So how to deliver on those huge interests in the market with a product that cannot be sold in years? That was one of the biggest questions for us and challenge how to survive.
Yeah. Okay. Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for sharing that. And I guess, I mean, you mentioned sort of different sort of regions and areas and attitudes towards kind of shipping and some areas where there might be some pushback. But I mean, you shared a really interesting post I saw on a LinkedIn account a couple of months ago, and it was to do with your travels and regions you've been to. And so I'd just love it if you could just share a couple of those insights. If we can perhaps compare a couple of key shipping hubs around the world and how you think their attitude toward digitalization and digital shipping innovation has kind of developed essentially. So, I mean, I've got a couple here just to think of, but I mean, I was thinking of maybe places like obviously Germany, where you are, perhaps Singapore, and maybe Greece, or anybody else in particular you'd like to focus on.
Yeah, this is always really exciting, especially if you can see this how it changed over the past years. Yeah, so we are traveling a lot from Germany, Netherlands, Singapore, Japan, and so on. But we are also actively involved in research and development, and that's why and how we see different cultures, behaviors, and digitalization, also collaboration approaches in this industry. For example, in Europe, ESG is a major focus for years, while in Singapore is more tech-driven. But the maritime industry is international, and to be honest, we do speak to the same people, just in different countries. And in our journey, we often, yeah, in our journey, we often, in our journey, we saw often traditional stakeholders providing proprietary solutions, really specialized, but sometimes also limited because of this. And I'm happy to see that this mindset has changed. The market is now way more open for digital solutions and collaboration. But it's also asking for international standards to ensure a simple adaptation.
Interesting. Okay. Good. And I guess, obviously, being based in Germany and other regions there, this is kind of a little bit off the cuff, so sorry if it sort of throws you a bit. But your approach to kind of business development and kind of commercial side of your business, have you specifically targeted certain types of ship owners in certain regions, or are you going for a complete global kind of market? What's been the sort of the strategy in that sort of sense?
Yeah, so I mean, we found out that the data of the logbooks are in the interest of different stakeholders. Yeah. So we are speaking to all of them, to be honest. But without the vessel, there's no business. Yeah. So that's really the key. Yeah. However, if you collect data with a logbook, let's say consumption data of the engines and fuels, that's in the interest of the ship manager, but also of the charterer. And if you have a logbook, it's important that the logbook, to save your time, is connected to the next port so that it transport the data upfront to the port that you need to deliver to the port. But sometimes you want to have an emission report, but you need some experts to get the emissions validated. So it's also important that you get this expertise into your procedures. And that's why the logbook from our side is not only made for the crew or for the ship manager, it's for all of them. And sometimes we even use our logbook, which helps the procedures and even in surveys to collect data and to collaborate, not even with the manager. It's used by surveyors, and they go on board, they collect the data, and in the end, we generate the report that is required. And that could be forwarded to the ship manager or to another stakeholder. So it's up to the users how to use our solution, so to say. It's, from our perspective, we are a tech provider.
Okay, interesting. Well, thank you so much for sharing your insights in that area, and also for the overview of the platform. What I'd like to do is really dive in a bit more, a bit about yourself, really, and I guess your role. I mean, starting in a new maritime software business 7 years ago or so is a fantastic achievement, and as you said, lots of changes since then. So, just for people perhaps maybe either considering starting their own business or just ones that are curious, what's a day in the life look like for you now? I'm sure it's different every day, but just on average, what sort of things might it entail?
To be really honest, in the past years, there was not a single day that has repeated itself. And to be really honest, I think that's also the reason why I'm working here. That makes my days really interesting. So I'd like to give you some insights. Sometimes I start my day with the first online meeting at 7 o'clock with Singaporean partners, moving forward through my business in Europe, and that day ends up at 2300 in New York. Sometimes I'm sailing on a commercial vessel over the Atlantic, trying to get a good connection to the internet because I'd like to browse my emails. And once in Hong Kong, I received the question of a ship manager if I'm available to get on board of a vessel just a couple of hours later in Singapore, ending up having dinner on board on the bridge. And if it is a bad day, for example, I also found myself in the discussion just about one word in the ISO group for more than 10 hours.
Wow. Okay. So extremely varied and all different types of stakeholders, it sounds like. So excellent. And I guess, I mean, how do you juggle that? I mean, do you find some, I mean, I'm sure you do, but I mean, as far as you get lots of support from your team, I'm sure, but it must be tricky to be almost constantly available. I mean, we were a bit like that in shipbroking, where I sort of started my career, and my grandfather was always at the beck and call from clients and things. Would travel everywhere all the time and things. And do you find you manage to balance it okay, the sort of the running the business and kind of family and home life?
It's a challenge, to be honest. I mean, we have great support. The maritime industry, for us, that was really important in the beginning. They really liked the idea and supported us. I mean, it takes us one call or email and we are welcome on board, without any restrictions. And to get at this point, to be welcomed in the club, so to say, of the maritime industry, it took a while, But we also have support from managers at shipping companies, and we have mentors. And we have a great team. I mean, we started with one person, and now we have over 25 passionate employees. And I can tell you it was and is always a challenge to work in an international scope. And sometimes we had 3 time zones and employees in 3 time zones, and that needs to be coordinated. That really was and is also a challenge. I'm really happy that I have a supportive family, because sometimes they do not even see me for days or weeks. I mean, I think I stayed 2 months on board of a vessel with problems having internet, and it was the moment.
Wow. Yeah.
My wife even told me that I'm going to be a dad again. And that was really awesome. But yeah, it would be nice to share the moments also with the family at home. But it's not always possible for us. For me.
Yeah. No, well, I mean, it's really great that on one hand you get that opportunity to spend so much time with customers and on board vessels to really see what life is like from their side and understand and help shape the solution more closely, which is brilliant. But yes, obviously it does have its toll. So okay, so you mentioned obviously you started off with those early hires and starting just one employee. But are there any other kind of key milestones as the business has evolved that you'd like to talk to us about?
Yeah, I think one of the most important one for me personally was that we got the acceptance, so to say, in the maritime industry. It's a huge industry, and in the end, if they don't accept you or the crew does not like your solution, you will just not take place. So we got the trust from the crew side, but also from surveyors and other managers, and we got the mentors, yeah, even support from major shipping companies, and yeah, this really helped us. And before we even have launched our smart logbook, and I mentioned it takes time to develop such technical solution that follows international standards or even defines such standards. Yeah, we already offered a service in the market that brought us over 2,500 vessels and permanent subscriptions. So we started in Germany, and we also established Nautilus Log in Singapore as a hub for Asia Pacific. And yeah, I think, Callum, most excited I'm about that we started really as a startup in the market with an idea and an exchange. And this led to a complete new standard that we brought into life. ISO 4891, Ship and Maritime Technology, interoperability of smart applications for ships. It's under publication, and I'm really proud it will be available in October 2024. That's groundbreaking for us. Yeah,
Awesome.
and it was really a challenge also for us and our contributors to get to this point.
Awesome. No, that's brilliant news. Yeah, and look forward to the end. And if we can help promote that or share that, anything we can do, that would be excellent. And you mentioned obviously opening the Singapore business and the team over there. What was that experience like? Because I know a number of our kind of clients that we work with in Europe have also kind of expanded into APAC. And what was that initial of looking to recruit out there like, and open the office?
Sorry, can you repeat? The connection was dropped for 1 second.
Yeah, sorry, we lost you there. So my apologies. Yeah, I was just asking what was that experience like opening the office in Singapore and starting to kind of grow a team out in that region?
Yeah, it was a great experience. I mean, we joined the German accelerator. They selected us and provided us a good network over there with mentors as well. So this was for us really good to get in touch with the right stakeholders and people over there. And I think we joined over there 2 times, a couple of months. We get the direct connection to the stakeholders, and I'm not able to tell too much at the moment. Yeah, but we are also planning to integrate our smart logbook deeper to other stakeholders in the market, such as ports. And I think that gives us great opportunities to offer more features and make the usability of our app better for the ship managers. So I think what we have achieved in the past years was growing our network, experience different cultures and different aspects in different markets. Yeah, from technology perspective, but also from ESG perspective. I think it's good for us to bring the knowledge we have from Europe about ESG and the technology developed in other countries and the opportunities and the mindsets together. Yeah, to push the overall idea of this logbook that is connected to that allows a neutral ecosystem. Yeah, for different expertise stakeholders and their service to take place on board. Yeah. To life. I think that's really great and really nice to see.
No, well, I'm really, really excited to see how things develop, and yeah, thank you again for giving such a good overview. I guess I know I touched on this earlier, and sorry if I'm repeating myself, but in terms of key challenges either maybe not necessarily for the business, but for yourself during those 7 years or so? Anything else you want to sort of point out, or even perhaps any kind of tips for aspiring kind of founders or sort of C-suite teams to keep an eye out for?
I think that's a good one, yeah. And maybe I can fill books with stories of what we have, learned and experienced. Was not always good moments, yeah. So we had a lot of challenges, and I think the idea we have developed here is a difficult one because it's regulated. Then must be a lot of knowledge available. It changes how procedures are executed or carried out, and it involved so many different stakeholders. I think to just give you one idea, we didn't develop the solution just for the crew. The same solution also needs to work for surveying companies or for P&I clubs. So we needed to find a UI UX that basically works for everybody and can cover all procedures that are driven by those stakeholders and makes it easy to be integrated. I mean, we developed the application already a few times from the UI UX perspective because we got so many learnings on board of vessels, in the port, in the office of the managers. That was really expensive. But we also learned from the shipping industry that there are a lot of solutions already now after a few years as we started, like AI-driven technologies, and they really like to use them, but it's really difficult for them because they need to connect to different APIs, and it's not standardized. And that's why we are really proud that we went into this ISO work. It was really time consuming, but the result is something that the market really likes to see. And we just listened to the market and took the feedback of the market and assembled everything in the ISO standard with the idea that in the future, it could be just one click, to utilize an AI service with the data of the logbook. But to develop this idea and to explain the idea, this was really difficult. I still remember that we always have the challenge to explain basically what we do. So we are not developing WhatsApp 2, which would be easy to explain to developers and maybe partners or others. I think it's a new concept, and there's a standard behind, so it needs to be explained in a good way. And this just takes a lot of time and feedback from the market.
Yeah, well, I think on that point, I remember when we met in Hamburg the other week. I think you gave me the most the best overview of the business and lots of time. I really appreciate it. Just give me an example of what you've been building and the story of the business. So it was really interesting to see how passionate you were, and the team all look extremely excited about the growth. So I really do wish you and the guys all the best and for the future. I mean, I know we've covered a lot in the conversation today, but is there anything else you'd like to share before we kind of move on?
Ooh. To be honest, Callum, I have not prepared anything in this direction.
Oh no,
what do you have in mind?
Problem. Well, I will ask a couple of questions just more on the personal level. So I always like to ask one or two things, and just really what type of things do you like to get up to when you have a moment? I know we've just explained there's not too much of that, but kind of hobbies wise, anything you like to do, any passions outside of work?
I'm still really enjoying, even during my travel activities for work, to learn more about different cultures and countries. But if I'm at home, I do really enjoy the time with my young family at home. And if I do have some extra time, I am excited and interested in exploring a good book. Yeah, and I'm dedicated to new technologies.
Fantastic. Okay, awesome, Otto. Well, thank you so much again. Really enjoyed our conversation. And if anybody would like to reach out to either you or the team, what's the best way for them to do so?
I mean, we are always really interested to deepen our exchange with the market. So if you're a ship manager or a P&I club or a flex state, please get in touch with us to explore opportunities. And you can follow me or Nautilus Log on LinkedIn. or just get in touch with us via ahoy@nautiluslog.com. And don't forget to check out our website, www.nautiluslog.com.
Great, good, awesome. Well, I'll put some of those links as well in the show notes for the episode. But for now, to everyone, thank you very much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. I found it really fascinating, and also again, thank you for your time. And I look forward to speaking with you again soon.
Thank you, Callum. It was a pleasure to be here.